Hello everyone. Today we are going to be going to look at this. Raj, do you want to? Oh, this is the art. That's.
No, the further you go back, the better it'll be. You get too close. That's why I put you back on the chair.
Yep.
Move back. See? And then move in. That's what I was trying to tell you. You start moving in and you did everything I told you opposite to do. See? Then it gives a better example. All right, everybody. On this Fireball Day, Great Balls of Fire Day. Have a Great Balls of Fireball Day today. This is an example of a close-up design, or basically a Pacific Northwest Coast design, as an example of what I was meaning, that our art is made from bilateral symmetry. Why bilateral symmetry? The images on the left are exactly as the images that are on the right. But it doesn't make any sense if you just see it flat like it does on this piece of paper that I'm pointing at that's behind it. That's the flat two-dimensional one. You run this two-dimensional image that I'm pointing at on that side through a 360-degree sphere, then the bilateral symmetry, and the colon goes to left and right, it becomes dimensional. You could go to the left, you could go to the right, you could go up, you could go down, and it's holographic and it's in 3D. It's no longer a flat piece of paper. It's actually, got some dimension to it. So I wanted to start with that by showing you an example of a Northwest Coast design and why I know bilateral symmetry is our language. Because what we're doing with Totem Pole art is basically putting all these images all over our longhouses, our canoes, our baskets. We had no need to have secrets. It wasn't until the Uto-Aztecans got a hold of this knowledge that they became secretive with kivas and things like that, where they encoded it so that only certain people could be able to read it and nobody else could see it except for a few chosen few, because it was encoded. But we in the Northwest Coast don't have no reasons for secrets. We only believe in the sacred. There are no secrets. But down in the Uto-Aztecan world, they have a reason for being secretive, have the boys club and only certain people know, instead of,
Well, that's all over the world, and there's all these secret
Vatican
societies.
Boys Club,
Yeah.
Indians do
Vatican
it too,
Boys Club.
It don't matter what boys club it is. A boys club's a boys club, Only certain people got no girls allowed, kind of get discriminating. But this is an example of the Pacific Northwest design that is in a bilateral symmetry that you could show holographically. We are the parent for all the ancient images that came after, including Maya, the Huhukum, and all of these art that are encoded. They were taken originally from us. We were the source. We were the source of bilateral system. We were the source of the curved oval shapes that were part of the art that became Maya art even down the road. We're the source for this whole entire visual language. But we just had no reason to hide it or to make it secretive. We put it on everything and anything and still do.
Wow.
So that's the reason I'm explaining that, why it's all over our culture, but it's hidden down here.
Wow, it's like it is three-dimensional. That's pretty crazy.
And that's how I wanted to start the I guess you could say an extension from my last presentation to give you a better view. I got a bigger crystal ball, which gives you a better view, but I wanted to show you the source, where it originally came from. And that source is up in the Northwest Coast. I figured we'd start with that. But now that we talked about that source, let me do this.
This one is the bird.
Oh, we have the old stylized
What
bird
style? It's called the stylized bird.
White man calls it stylized
And when
bird
you-
because they don't know what it is.
When you apply sacred geometry, which is in this case done through reverse imaging on the piece of paper, so the stylized bird is flipped over and put on top of itself, the lines, and then that's the reverse imaging. Putting it, what Roger is doing now is he's putting it into the round.
Yeah, and centering it so it's not too out of hand.
I can move out of the way while you.
No. I'm just gonna center it so that. I think I got it. Wow, that face looks pretty. I think if you sit on that chair again, you might be able to see that face even clearer again. This people here is what Colin mentioned earlier was supposed to be the stylized bird that Fuchs in his book claims that it is. But in reality, it's not a stylized bird. There's somebody with ear flares on both sides of his head. You can see his cheeks. You see his nose. You see his eyes. There's a whole human face on the very top half of this image here. And if you look at the face, it's also below it, there's a serpent. And if you look even closer, he's got his mouth open, might even be smiling a little bit. His eyes are half open. And if you pull it back further, there's wings. A wing here, there's a wing there. There's a man with ear flares in the middle, and there's a serpent. So what does a wing and a serpent mean? People, this represents the feathered serpent. And the serpent on the bottom and the wings say that. So I'll just show you the wings, but you go down, you can see them better. See on the sides.
Okay.
There's so much that's being missed in our ancient art. And what I'm trying to say about indigenous disclosure doesn't have all to do with UAPs and flying saucers and UFOs. Indigenous disclosure is letting the world know who we really are, not who you think we are or how you project us to be. Indigenous disclosure is finally letting down that we have to act this version of the colonial Indian and let you know who we really are. Disclosure means letting you see who we are as a people, which you never considered or even thought of before. This is a visual language that's way ahead of anything the white man has ever created, even in the 21st century. I mean, has anybody created holographic art yet? No. You know, they're trying. They do it on computer, but that's kind of crappy, to be honest with you. I think the ancients had it more together than anything. So if you notice that it's holographic, the serpent can go all the way around in the entire circle. I mean, the colon goes all the way around. That serpent goes all the way in a big circle, all the way back to itself. So, I mean, it's more holographic than people could even imagine. Now, that's members. Members were connected to the people that were down in Teotihuacan and Mexico. They were the top of the trade at 29 degrees latitude. And because of that reason and being connected to the Mesoamericans from Teotihuacan, when the Civil War broke out, not only were the Mesoamericans taken out of this area, the members were taken out as well. Why? Because they were part of that Mesoamerican group. And they took everybody out that was part of that Mesoamerican group. So nobody got to escape. And that's why there are no members. Okay, there it is.
So this is a turquoise shell pendant, or a turquoise shell.
Yeah, it's Huhukum from back in Arizona. This one's got so much imagery in it, it's hard to pull it all together. But I think I got it right about there, I think. Okay. This is how turquoise is really intended to be used. A lot of people, have been using it for selling to tourists, which, is one of the reasons to pay your bills. But the ancients, what they used turquoise for was to create a visual art that's within the turquoise design itself. If you'll notice, there's even designs in there that don't even correspond to our dimensions, like fourth dimensional stuff that's around the center part, where it's, the darker area. I mean, the law of physics don't even apply there.
This one's also a serpent.
Yeah, serpent. There's a serpent at the very top, and at the very bottom, there'll be a rattlesnake that's on this side, on the right side at the very bottom, and on this side, going this way, is a lizard. That lizard that is shown here is how I got the design to do that on the wall. Point at that wall. That what gave me the idea to do this design, was finding the lizard that was in their art, which gave me the layout for the Hujut Empire. And they were right. It all laid out. But that's the same design that's in the architecture at Teotihuacan too, the Pyramid of the Sun, which I don't think people are too aware of. I'll show you in a second here. All things are connected, but nobody's paying any attention. They should, because it would explain a lot. This image right here, that's standing in the Pyramid of the Sun, is that image right there. You can even see the steps. It's like the pyramid here. One of the steps, the arms, the head. I think there used to be a head up here, but the structure is missing. But there's a human body in here, which is this in the architecture and the Pyramid of the Sun. So there's a lot of things there white archaeologists, anthropologists aren't paying any attention to because it's not within their culture. That's why we need indigenous researchers like us to do the work. Now look at all of the complexity of here. I mean, this is complex more than almost, as complex as the Maya. Except the Maya worked in jade. Jade was the other one that worked really well for doing decipherments. So I wanted to show you that this ancient decipherment work isn't far removed, like 1,200 miles away. It's in our backyard. We just never paid any attention to it. We're so busy thinking that the Mayans and Aztecs were the only ones that did this. And then I showed you that even my Northwest Coast people, had bilateral symmetry within art. But I'm going to tell you something, Colin, that needs to be said. The world needs to take a group of people that never took seriously before any of this research before. Pay attention, you to Aztecans and all you Indian experts. There are two groups of people on this land, and they're not all Uto-Aztecan. There's a second group called the Athabascans, which Colleen is a part of with the Dene, which I'm part of as being Quinault, which never get taken seriously. We get treated like we don't know crap, like we don't know anything, which saved us, for being killed. But that does not mean we don't know or we don't remember. We are not the children of La Llorona. We are not the lost children. We're Athabascans. We're not tied to the La Llorona lost children like they are. We have always been found. We've only been silent. Speaking of Maya, just now that we mentioned Maya, I'm going to show you a Messiah figure that comes from the temple of the foliated cross down in Palenque. Then I'm going to show you Kukulkan as the king of heaven and earth. But first, let's do the Messiah thing here. If you'll notice, the figure that's in here, or maybe I should pull it up a little bit more, I have it too. Wow, this one might even be too big. If I made it too big of a print. Can you see the Messiah figure in your camera? My angles. Oh, there it is. You have to just go further back. See on the very top, you can see a guy with a beard and a mustache. He's wearing wings. And he has his hands in prayer, and he's coming down from heaven. And what is he coming down to? He's coming down to the material world. And man, look at the material world that he's coming down into. You can see the bottom of his feet there. But look at the designs that are within this decipherment. Look at the complexity, especially holographically. I'll pull it down a little bit so you can see the figure. Makes a difference on that crystal ball, isn't it? With a larger size, more detail. Wind spirits are getting active out there.
Whoa.
This is referring to an event that's going to happen in 2039 when the prophecy really does come true, when Quetzalcoatl said he had promised to return. That's what this is talking about, the future.
It's kind of hard to see a little bit of the light, but
in our world, we have red messiahs, we have our apostles, we have our saints, no different than the Christians. You know, they did the same kind of work. We just think we're different, that's all.
yeah, it's kind of hard to see because of the light. But
Yeah, I know and I think I made the decipherment too big because I noticed it was out of focus. Now, I might have made that one a little too big. I made the other ones just the right size, but there's one thing about doing this work, you got to be kind of precise or it comes out looking funky. But if you do it right, oh my God, you freak people out. This one over here, let's see if I can, it's easy to find when I find the T. Okay, where's that T? Oh, there's the T. I see it now. This one's going to be interesting for Colleen because when she looks in closer, she was right. When I found these guys, especially this guy, his eyes were closed and he was asleep. And I worked on deciphering, working with the decipherments till I got him to open his eyes.
He looks sleepy still.
And ever since then, their eyes been open. But when I originally found the image, the eyes were closed, and I realized the ancients weren't dead. Somebody put them to sleep a long time ago. And I came along and woke them up, and now look at their eyes, they're all open. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
And smiley.
Yep. That's This is Kukulkan, king of heaven and earth. His crown is up here above the white line is heaven. The line below it represents the earth. He's holding two staffs in his hand, and he's a serpent king. And I believe he's standing on the base of the sun, or he's coming out of the sun, which leads me to believe that Kukulkan or Quetzalcoatl down the road during those solar storms is going to emerge from the sun. Boy, that's what it shows. And then he'll be the king of heaven and earth again, what it shows there. These came out of mosaics that were buried at the foot of a pyramid in Chichen Itza, and it was dug out, I think, in the 70s and excavated, and they found these stone containers that had a whole bunch of these mosaics stacked up inside of it, and this is just one of them. What the archaeologists don't understand is that they're visual books that tell you the entire everything about their culture, if you know how to read it. And this is just one of the images that came out of that mosaic. This one's turquoise mosaic too. This turquoise came from New Mexico that was found in Maya. This is interesting. And I used the black and white because it gives you a better idea of what's within the image.
There's an eagle head here too. That's pretty
There's
cool.
all
Or a
kinds.
condor maybe. I don't know.
There's even a pyramid over here. There's even like bases on the crown, which I'm still trying to. But it's a whole nother. This is a whole nother science because it's basically reading ancient books and using bilateral symmetry to unencode it so you could see what's really there. I mean, what you're seeing here is what modern man has no idea even exists. So I wanted to show you that one because the King of Heaven and Earth, and with all of the activity that's been going on, and I'll give my little wrap here when I find my next. Oh no, I'm in the wrong book. Well, I'm setting it up. I dropped it, so I got a crack. I gotta make sure I put it in the right direction. Okay, I think I got it. Does it look balanced from where you're seeing it? Maybe a little bit more down. Okay. We'll start with this first. Hello, everybody. Getting down to what I really wanted to show you in the very end. Doing this thing called Indigenous disclosure. Like I said, it's not all about UAPs and UFOs. Basically, our Indigenous disclosure is letting the world know who we really are, rather than who they think we are, or want us to believe we are. But now we're getting to the point where the real disclosure. Your government is never going to tell you about anybody coming from another galaxy. Your government is never going to tell you the truth about anything. How do I know that? They made 568 treaties with us, and they broke 568 treaties with us. Now, can they be trusted? No. Are they going to give you disclosure? No. Will they ever give you disclosure? No. I think the people that are star people will give you disclosure before your government ever will. So, to make their job easier, we're going to do disclosure. This is the lid of Palenque. People get all excited about it because they say it's a guy sitting on a rocket ready to blast off, and an astronaut, and that guy with the funny hair, you know, they say he's an astronaut sitting there ready to blast off in a bottle rocket. But when you do our decipherment techniques of it, you can actually see Pacol's face right here. And if you look down below here, when the little red circle, there is a disc. And below that, there's a person standing on a ramp. And not only is the ramp down, you look to the side, there's all kind of people in these little portholes that are looking out. And if you look at this object itself, it's the classic saucer shape. Now, this is from 687 AD. So since the government isn't going to give you any disclosure, we'll give the disclosure for you. Now, what Colin is going to show you now is the image to the crystal ball of what's in that red circle. This is going to be our version of disclosure since your government won't do it for you. And this is going to be probably the best view you're ever going to get of an ancient UAP from the Lid of Palenque from 687 AD. If you look in there, you can see where that red arrow is. You can see that little figure standing on the ramp. And if you look to the side, there's all the people that are in the windows going this way and going that way. And if Colleen can get up and look to the left and right, you could actually see the shape of the saucer. It's a classic saucer. You go to the left, you go to the right, it's no different than what you see in the modern version of flying saucers. Which brings us to an interesting thing of not only UAPs, but if you go to Broken Spears by Leon Portillo, the Aztecs even mentioned that an object went over the sacred lake and it hovered. You don't use the word hoover because they know comets, they know asteroids, they know meteorites, they know how to describe them. They never describe them as hoovering. But nobody ever paid attention to Broken Spears when they were actually describing a UAP sighting when the Spaniards had arrived, because they said this object hovered over the sacred lake and it scared everybody before it took off. I mean, we got all these reports of ancient UAPs, let alone in our ancient art, that are here, which kind of makes you wonder that, did we inherit any genes from these people that we were associated with that came in these craft in those ancient times? I mean, your government's never going to give you disclosure on UAPs, so we'll do it for them. Maybe it's time, that we as Native people allow you to know who we really are, and not only know who we are, our real true history. Because I'm serious. We're trying to retrieve what's left of our culture while the modern world is still trying to rewrite it. And I mean rewrite it to their version of what they want us to be. And that's not who we really are. We're more advanced than they even think. We don't need chicken scratch, to call us literate because you have a pronoun here and an adverb there, and there's no, we were so advanced, we took our symbols and created a visual language that you didn't need no stupid pronouns and adverbs. As far as I'm concerned, Chinese, American, European, they're all doing chicken scratch. Talk about primitive writing. Chicken scratch, when they could be creating that. This is not advanced. That's chicken scratch. This is advanced. Taking symbols and making a language.
There are different faces, but also like dragons.
Mm-hmm. Well, I took this one out because I wanted to visualize so you can see the craft a little bit more, and hopefully that helps a little bit with and the bigger crystal ball. Because I was leading up to wanting to show the UAP from the earlier decipherments to show that I'm not just making this up. This is actually within, our culture, within various other tribes, Maya, Huhukum, Aztec, and so forth. And I don't think our ancestors would be making up, things like UAPs in their art for no reason. And the other reason too is that we need to control the narrative. Since the government isn't going to come out with their disclosure, then we as Native people will, which means from this point on, we now control their narrative. They have lost it. Your disclosure don't mean crap now. Lesson over. I think the 8 minutes might be coming to an end.